No, I don't know if this looks any good, but maybe. Okay. So one thing I did want to talk about. So I did do the Camino on my own. I kind of wanted to talk about the experience of you going alone as a woman. It's always a little bit different. So I think there's a lot of pros. There's a lot of pros, but there's also some things that I think are good to just have in mind. It is always recommended for you to do the Camino alone. That's always what everybody says. You should do it alone. Of course, if you want to do it in a group, I think then you just do it in a group. Like some people go with a church or they go with an organization, and that allows for a specific experience or a specific intention that you're going with, right? But I don't know if this lighting is not good. I'm so sorry. I think if I move maybe more here it would look okay, but that's fine. So when you go as a woman, there's different options, right, for the hostels that you stay at. So not every day, or not every place that you end up choosing, there are places where only women can stay, but there are in the bigger cities and in other ones. If you can look on booking.com or other things like that, where they will have only women in the room, which I did a couple times just because there were moments where I was I just wanted to just have women in the room. So here's a phenomenon that kept happening to me since the moment I got to Saint Jean. When Saint Jean it wasn't as bad, but I've been in rooms. Sometimes they put you in rooms, or even in just the section that I'm in, where I'm the only woman there, the only girl, right? And I didn't feel unsafe, right, quote unquote, but I didn't feel great about that as a situation. I think maybe we have to coming down to my own personal experiences, right, in life and stuff like that. The first night it was all men, and then there was two couples that were there, so it was a husband and a wife, and I don't know if another husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, and they were together. So but everybody else, I think there were maybe 12 people in our room or more. I think there was more, because anyways, but let's say about 12. Everybody else was men. And then I've had times where even in the municipales, which are the public albergues, where in the section, because of the time I came in, my whole section was just men, and I was the only girl. And that even happened to me in big cities. So even when I got to Burgos, my whole section, literally, not just, I don't mean just me in the bed. I mean the literas, what they'll call it, you in your bed. I mean the people next to me, the people to the side to me, the people all around me. Bless you. Someone sneezed. My neighbor sneezed. They were all men in the beds. And the only other woman I saw at the end was there was two groups of girls all the way at the other end, and then a couple girls over there, 1, 2, 3, hold literas down. So, and it was a giant room. I think there was that one had at least maybe 80 people, if not more, in that section. And because that was a municipal, so it was a very big one, right? And I think, you just have that in mind. I didn't feel something was going to happen. You have to understand, this is a big part of their tourism, especially for the northern part, the Galicia parts, Los Pirineos, and that middle part. Bless you. This brings a lot of it helps the economy, because no one else is really stopping in these little towns for any other reason, and that's where you eat, and that's where you're going to sleep, and so they protect the pilgrims a lot. It is, I would say, and people told me this, that doing the Camino is the safest thing a woman can really do on her own, for such a long time, and to feel really safe. And I did, honestly, in the walk, I mean, there were moments and times where I could not see a person in front of me and not see a person behind me, and I didn't feel worried at any point. I mean, sometimes people are weird, and like you just need to learn kind of how to navigate that. And if someone does do something, you tell anyone immediately something is going to be done. Like the authorities are going to get involved, because they really do protect the pilgrims, because this pilgrimage is very important for them and their economy and like how good the country looks. So they're willing to take care of you in that sense. It's not like I'm kind of like from the US, where you can go to national parks and all this stuff, but like they kind of help you, but they don't really, not all the time, no offense, just from my own experiences. But there, it's something is done like almost immediately, and people know, or like they'll be like, oh, please try to stay away from these. There are weird people that I mean, the people are weird, like I'm weird, but then there are people who are a bit more like and you just gotta kind of use your own discernment at that point. And some people don't even like actually do the Camino, but they'll try to be around the people for other reasons, right? So it's just kind of being aware of that. And like, as you've seen with like the interviews that I've done and stuff like that, the Camino lends itself for you to make a community. So people are checking in on you, especially the people you end up seeing all the time, or walking with, or eating dinner with, or just people you literally see in the walk. They're going to ask, are you okay, if anything? And if they see something, you can always like navigate that. So I would say, it's a great trip. Like if you're kind of a solo traveler, you're someone who likes to walk. As a woman, I felt safe. I felt like not just like the people there, right? I also felt like the authorities were on my side, which, I don't know, I'm from America, so sometimes you just don't feel like that. And so I'm from the US. And I've lived in other countries and visited other countries, and like sometimes I'm like, I don't know. It's very similar to the feeling here, where you're like, I don't really know if anything's going to be done. So you just kind of mind your own. And yeah, I felt like something, and they'll talk to you and they'll help you, and the people are very open and willing and trying to figure this out, because it is such an important thing for them, and it helps them. And yeah, but I will say, you have to be mindful of like the sleeping arrangement. Sometimes maybe if you want to like not sleep in like pajamas or something, then maybe get an all girls room, or maybe get a private room that day, or maybe you just really want to sleep well. I'll be honest, a lot of the times when I was in the places where it was like all men, it didn't smell great. And a lot of them were snoring. I'm not saying that women don't snore. Sometimes when I was next to women, they were the ones who were snoring. I have stories about that if you guys want to hear of a funny one. But so that is a thing to be mindful of. I think you're walking, but it's strenuous in the fact that you walk for many hours, but it's not strenuous in like you don't do any crazy climbing. I don't think so. I wouldn't say we do. You do go up high of elevations and do this and that, and like near the end, like El Cebreiro, and the beginning in the mountains, yeah. But it's nothing. You don't need to know like how to mountain climb or anything like that. Like you're not on the face of a mountain or something, So I think it's very doable. There are, at least in my experience, I met a lot more men than women, but there are a lot of women, because when I stayed. And I think I did it twice, where I stayed in those albergues with only women, and it was, pretty full. Like there was like 6 of us in there, so we each got our own bottom bed, and like it was nice, and the women were really kind. Like at some point I was on my period, and they helped me, and like I helped someone when they had that going on. And yeah, I think it's very community-like, and the women are always willing to help the other women and stuff like that. The men will try to help too, they just don't know like what to do. But well, some do. But yeah, so I think I would recommend it. I don't think it's out of the question, but you just need to be mindful that like it's very possible that you end up in a room where like you might be the only woman, or maybe it's only you and another girl, and you don't necessarily know her, right? And you have to navigate how like you and your person feel about that, to see maybe where you stay, or like maybe you group up with a group where it's more female dominated, so that when you guys get to the albergue together, you guys all end up being together. Because that's all the thing is, most of the time, it's not like you choose your bed before. You know, as you arrive, those are the beds they give you almost anywhere. So my group was mostly male, and a lot of them already had pre-booked a lot of stuff. So I was staying by myself in a lot of these places, or I would just stay with them, and then at least I knew them, you know. But it would be like to the people that I knew, and then like everybody else in the room, I didn't know who they were. So you just need to navigate how you feel about that in your own person, because for me, it was certain moments where like I did not know anybody, I would feel a little uncomfortable, but that's from my personal experience. It's not that anybody else made me feel that way, right? But because of past traumas or whatever, I was just like, oof, a little more on edge, but then I would sleep still. And, you know, people are, yeah, I mean, they're going to talk to you, they might flirt with you and this and that, but people are very respectful. And I think that's just a part of it too. It's a part of socializing, right? I think flirting is just a part of socializing. It's not always so, like big, it's not as big of a thing, I think, as sometimes people in the US tend to make it seem like. Sometimes it's just like a kindness that people want to show, and a way of a personality. And like I've traveled to different places, and I notice that more when I'm outside of the United States. So people are like that, but they're never like doing too much. And if they ever are, then, you know, say something, and that's kind of like how you deal with all of that.